I love playing the drums. I can do the grooviest rhythms. I can do rhythms like...
Back to the Music Survival Guide podcast. I'm happy to be here again. It's April 27th for us. You'll get it in a few days, like usual. This is episode 11. Super cool. I'm happy we're in double digits. Thanks, Monkey, for taking the ride with me. We've been having a really good time. It's been a good bonding experience for us. We've been geeking out over lots of really cool music and some cool guests. Our last episode, episode 10, was a Prince tribute that I feel we did a really, really awesome job on. But what happened was, be it that we put songs into the podcast, Prince being one of the biggest, music superstars ever, we had problems, and the episode was taken off YouTube in seconds. I was like, wait, did I do something wrong? But then obviously I was like, oh, shoot, we're totally going to have a problem because of these songs. I mean, we've had, Vin Dombrowski from Sponge, Dave Alvin from White Trash. These are guys that have had big records, big hits, but I mean, you get into Prince territory and it's like, forget it. I'm happy that we didn't get in trouble on YouTube, actually, because I did.
No, I wanted to get in trouble.
Well, I said that too. I was like, man,
I wanted to get sued.
The controversy, that's what sells it.
But yeah, no, I mean, clearly it's not some guy sitting behind a computer listening to everybody's uploads. It's software. It's YouTube itself that's actually
the algorithm.
The algorithms. Yeah, so I'm trying to figure out how to bypass that or go around it. And we will try to upload it onto YouTube again.
Well, what we had in mind was actually Monkey sent me a newer version of it with the tracks sped up. I was so not into that though. I was saying I'd rather just get like a static or white noise, or we were thinking maybe like a Prince screech, but then that might even be a problem.
Yeah, right? He was notorious for really cracking down on copyrights.
Yeah, he had it on lock.
And so. I would have maybe really cared if he were still alive, but the fact that he's dead, that means somebody else is making his money now, so I can give two fucks.
Well, I mean, I don't care.
Anyway, yeah, I think lucky enough that we were able to upload it onto SoundCloud.
Yeah, well, first time I put it up on SoundCloud, it came down to, because I did lots of keywords and hashtags and all that internet-y stuff that you got to do nowadays. And that came down pretty quick too. Put it up the second time with minimal anything, really. And it's been living there for a few days now, which is good because I know people have definitely heard it. Mm-hmm. But we're going to do a version 2.0. So there's going to be episode 10 version 2.0 soon. But right now, we have a guest with us tonight, which is cool because last week we didn't have a guest. We talked about Prince, me and Monkey hung out, and it was really good. But tonight we have Mr. Kevin Caputo of not of Stereo Assassin, but he is the Stereo Assassin, and he's here.
Actual assassin.
He is, and it's an appropriate name. Hey, Kevin.
Hey, what's up, guys?
What's up, brother?
How are you?
All right, thanks for coming out.
Yeah, I'm fucking super excited because I actually I know Kevin for a long time.
Yeah, Monkey set this one up, which is cool. I'm excited because, be it that Monkey was like, oh, Kevin's going to come out, so I had to kind of do my part to really do research, because usually anything that we've been talking about, I just have like this super geeky amount of ridiculous, useless knowledge. So
that's an understatement, dude. This guy encyclopedia, man.
So I was like, this is good though, because it's good, because I like to, when I'm into something, music, of course, being one thing that I'm very, very into, I was like, this is cool. It's something I can study for, and it's a topic that I enjoy. So the information just really like seeps in there. I wasn't like studying for calculus or anything, I was like, oh, hey, I'm going to get into some new types of music. So I was listening, and it's ultra-violent metalcore, agrotech, industrial, DNB, and dubstep.
Yeah, that's kind of long.
That is pretty serious.
I kind of shortened it and coined the phrase deathcore.
No,
DEF.
That's pretty cool, but I kind of like the long version too.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's pretty serious, and for those of you that don't know, the DNB is drum and bass, which Kevin gets into a lot of sounds, man. A lot of really intense sounds.
Well, for anybody who has never listened to your music, can you sum it up?
Well, I mean, I think you kind of just did.
I think no, but what I mean is, can you sum up how, like, what you are, what you do?
Well, we've played together.
Yes,
Ronnie and I have played together.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
You guys are way ahead of me.
No,
man.
but I just wanted to kind of get an idea of what you are, what the project is, and
the project is actually. If I really look back at it, it's been something that's been to over 25 years culminating trying to find my sound. And I think not even the first 2 years of Stereo Assassin, which started in 2010, I was still looking. And it was probably by 2012, 13, I started to find my sound that I was looking for 25 years.
No, that's great because I know that you've been at it for a really long time, and that's commendable. It's awesome. I mean, you gotta be kind of brilliant and kind of insane to do this for so long, especially when it's kind of like an independent level where you have a little bit of success, and then I mean, you're one guy at this point doing all this stuff now, which also is really, really neat. But back to the whole description. When I was listening to your stuff, that is actually super duper accurate, because my initial reactions were like, man, this is aggressive. It is unforgiving. There's a very specific agenda that you have here. Then you're making your point pretty clear about what you're trying to achieve. There's no bullshit there. It's I'm going to do this super intense, crazy thing, and I'm going to make these visuals that accompany it that are also equally as insane. And I was like, whoa, because I haven't actually experienced stuff like that for a while. I'm talking early Ministry popped into my head, which is great because Al is brilliant. Even early Nine Inch Nails, when Trent was making all those. Downward Spiral especially, that's a very brutal record, and lots of the visuals and videos and stuff that accompanied that were very, very crazy too. And I even thought of stuff I like Pungent Stench and bands like that,
I love Pungent Stench.
Yeah, deep stuff like that.
I get 9 Inch Nails a lot. I get Ministry a lot.
Sure.
I haven't gotten Pungent Stench, but I do also get Combi Christ a lot, Joe Letz's band.
Yes and no, I guess, because it's kind of in that wheelhouse of sound and
industrial type sound.
But still, I feel have more of old school aesthetic with what you're trying to do, which I really like as far as that stuff goes.
Well, let me just tell you, my idea is I love metal. I love death metal. I love drum and bass. I don't know if I necessarily love it, but I do enjoy aspects of it. But I can't listen to an entire death metal album as much as I love it.
For sure. No, I agree with you, because there are a lot of bands, too, that I like that, not necessarily death metal, but Dope?
Yes.
I love Dope. But sometimes, I just can't get through a record, which is weird, because I've listened to them forever.
Yes.
And I love seeing them live, especially. And I really like Felons and Revolutionaries and Life, the second record. Those are my favorites. And even not that I'm a huge person when it comes to this band, but Slipknot, sometimes I'm halfway through it and I'm that's good. Yeah. It's good enough for me. But I totally get that, because there's stuff, even though you love it,
right?
It's kind of I've heard half of this record and I'm cool. I'm cool. I'm sated enough to kind of move on and
right.
Get into something else.
So that's what my desire is, to take the best parts of music that I like and combine them with other genres, the best parts of other genres, so to keep it interesting.
No, that's cool.
You know what I mean?
It's definitely interesting. Who else did I think of? Because those were like my first.
Get some Fear Factory sometimes.
Yeah, even although it's different, but it's kind of so. Even Cannibal Corpse, maybe even
Cannibal Corpse. I can't say for sure, but there could be a chance that I've sampled them in the past.
Yeah, all right,
so
cool.
maybe that's why you get that.
Cool.
I think my very first impression of when I heard your. I mean, I had this. I remember having this feeling. That this is the kind of shit that like Patrick Bateman listens to while he's chopping fucking people's heads off to kind of mask the.
Yeah, but I mean,
because it was intense. Like it was just like this incredible energy from the first second. Even if there's no accompanying drums or bass at all, but it's still like this very loud a sample that it just gets tossed right in your face.
Exactly.
From the first second.
The samples, right off the bat.
The samples were almost more violent than the actual music, you know? And now that's what I get
out of my head, Monkey. We're right there.
But like, that was my very, very first impression. I was like, this guy has a library of fucking violent samples.
Well, I'll tell you two things. One is it takes hours and hours and weeks of going through samples and finding the samples and getting them right. And the other part is sometimes they're not samples. Sometimes it's me playing guitar.
Yeah, no, I think it'd be hard to differentiate those.
No, that's awesome.
Because you have a lot of people, and anybody who's never seen you. I'm wording that really terribly. Kevin has the most amazing. What would you call it? It's not a growl. It sounds like a fucking like a hawk that just was born out of Satan's asshole. It's like this very high screechy, yet it's super aggressive, metallic voice.
When I played in. I developed that when I played in Soulsick.
Yeah. That's where I first met that voice, and I fell in love with the voice because I'd never heard anything before like that in person.
Well, I knew I had a good voice when somebody in Soulsick emailed me and said, all it said was, this fucker's got vocals like Tim from Vision of Disorder, who was known for his vocals,
Okay.
And so when I'm like, okay, I'm being compared to Tim, I'm onto something.
Okay, yeah. You know, it was very, very. I mean, it was. I'd never heard anything like that in person. The fact that he could replicate it on demand, it was. I also felt like I'd kind of discovered gold. It was very, very cool. Before you mentioned Soulsick,
which I have. We're gonna get there.
You got some info on that?
Yeah, man.
You got some questions?
I got it.
I don't want to just like blurt it out and then just kind of skip it.
Don't get there yet, because what I want to do is, we spent 5 minutes now kind of talking to Kevin and talking about his sounds, and
I always fuck up his train of interview.
Nah, man, you can't derail this train, sucker. You better relax.
He's the straight man.
Anyways, Kevin.
Yeah.
I want to play a song.
Yeah.
So say someone who does not know, not me necessarily, but listeners that might not know you, what would be the one thing right now to introduce them to? Like what song, what piece, what?
Well, just to preface that, it would be difficult because I genre jump so much. But the best representation, I would say, it's actually on SoundCloud only right now.
All right.
It's a track called "Violent Machines."
Can we play it?
Absolutely.
Okay, that's super cool. I think it's cool because with the Music Survival Guide podcast, we've had a lot of guests come in and they've been allowing us to play songs that aren't really totally out there yet. They haven't even played them, or they're like maybe in just one spot. And if it's only on SoundCloud, that's cool, because we're gonna kind of, I guess, debut it on our little show here. And
it's on SoundCloud. Let me just tell you,
SoundCloud is great.
It's great.
Mean, there's lots of music,
but there's
there,
a lot of issues with it because you don't get paid for SoundCloud.
Right.
So and
you can only have a certain amount of sound on there unless you pay into it.
Right. So yesterday I was actually going through my SoundCloud page and I realized Well, let me just tell you something. Without getting controversial right away, I consider myself a conservative, and I voted for Trump. And it doesn't mean I'm a monster. I'm not a racist. I'm not all the things that everybody gets called. Right? Exactly.
Well, in the words of a comedian who I won't name, not everybody who voted for Trump is a racist.
Well, you wouldn't believe that if you saw what they write to me on Facebook.
All right, I mean, holy politics.
No, but I wanted to set that up because where was I going with this? I kind of forgot where I was going with this, but it had something to do with the music.
You're talking
SoundCloud.
SoundCloud, conservative values.
Oh, right. So a lot of my music was on SoundCloud was a free link. It was a free download linked to Bandcamp, and Bandcamp, maybe 6 or 7 months ago, I've been using them for years. They did a thing where they said on this day, 20% of all proceeds of all artists on Bandcamp, their money will be going to stop one of Trump's agendas. And whether I agreed with the agenda or not, I did not agree with them telling me what they're going to do with my money.
Yeah, just picking a side, too.
Right. And so I wrote to them, and they took down my page, and they banned my page.
Oh, shit.
And they've never responded to me. So I have a bunch of tracks on. Yeah, I thought that was lame. Whatever political side you're on.
Yes, I understand that that's an extreme measure.
Ask the artist. Would you care to participate?
No, of course.
Yeah,
there was I'm going to say one thing in relation to slight political thing, and then we're going to hop ship and play one of Kevin's songs because this cannot go on.
Let's just get real tense and play this.
There was actually, my friend Cindy told me this story. She likes Kat Von D, and she would buy a lot of her makeup, a lot of her palettes, and apparently some girl won like one of her palettes off of Instagram or something. Kat Von D found out that she was a Trump supporter, and then she reneged on the contest, and she wouldn't give her little thing that she won.
Well, I just want to say to you two guys, I'm very happy that you're not interested in my politics because I've been doing a ton of podcasts over the last year, and it's always about me being a musician supporting Trump, which is extremely rare. And so I was kind of getting tired of it. I don't want to talk about politics. I want to talk about my music.
And that's what we're going to do.
Right.
I mean, this is Music Survival Guide.
So just to say, yesterday I was going through my SoundCloud, and I realized I have about 8 or 9 songs nobody has access to because Bandcamp took it down. And so I'm going to release them as a full album. They were singles. I'm going to put them as a full album.
So what's the name of the song that we're going to do?
Violent Machines.
Violent Machines. Okay, so we're going to give you some crazy sounds right now from Stereo Assassin. This is going to be neat for us. Violent Machines. Here we go.
This goes out to all you Trump supporters.
But here you go. Violent Machines. Woo.
you to remember that no bastard ever won a war by dying for his country. He won it by making the other poor dumb bastard die for his country.
Violent Machines by Stereo Assassin.
My ears are bleeding. My ears are bleeding.
I told you to stop. Get out of my head, man. You're taking... I was going to be like, are your ears bleeding? Damn it, monkey. That's funny. That's because we've been doing this now. We're 11 episodes in, so we're becoming like...
There's a vibe. There's a vibe.
Yeah, you know, we played music together for 2 some odd years. We're doing this, so we're getting that thing.
I wanted to
is cool.
A quick comment. Something that you just mentioned, Kevin. I wish I've been a little bit more involved in your live chats because we're friends on Facebook and I constantly get messages that you're about to go live or you are live or you were live, and I definitely get in there and I listen to it. I can never listen to more than about 2 minutes because I get bored or I'm a little busy and I want to go back to watching Ocean's 11 on Netflix or some shit.
I'm not offended. Don't worry about it.
No, I know you're not. But what I do notice, you're always super, super clear, concise, and straightforward. Like what I'm about to say is my opinion only. This is how I feel. Whether you like it or not, I apologize. At the same time, go fuck yourself. But it's very polite, very, it's. You're doing a good job, man, because you're not preaching. You're stating facts, you're stating opinions, but they're your opinions and nobody else's. You're defending your views, you're defending your beliefs, and the little that I've heard. And what else could you ever ask for in a monologue? You know what I'm saying? If it becomes a conversation, that respect carries out. That respect transcends, unless the other person is a fucking complete douche.
Well, I'll tell you a little secret, and thank you for saying that. But another reason that I do this is I'm a businessman. And you could have the best music in the world, especially in today's day and age. There's so much out there. You're going to get overlooked. So just as much as having good music, you got to be a vicious, insanely crafty promoter. And sometimes I make those videos just to antagonize and cause controversy. Because when you have 50 people calling you racist, another 100 people are going to tune in to see what this is about.
Sure, yeah.
And half of them don't even care about that. And they're like, wow, this music's great. So every time I purposely stirred up controversy, just on not saying anything wrong, just the subject matter I know will trigger some liberals.
Think about that. 30 years ago, Prince was doing that with sexuality.
Right, exactly.
And now today...
And now I just have to say Trump. That's it.
Yeah, exactly. Now today, sexuality is kind of out the window, but politics, gun rights, things like that.
But sometimes I do get caught off guard. I made a shirt, and it said Stereo Assassin, an American flag, and it said 100% white boy American metal. And I really... ignorantly and innocently thought nothing wrong of it, and I was attacked left and right for being just this crazy racist because it said white boy.
Because it's a white boy, because you have white privilege.
And I tried to make the point that I wear Public Enemy shirts, black and proud and stuff. That doesn't, I'm not offended by that.
You're really tan, though.
Yeah, well, that's true, right? And so what's fair is fair, and so that caused so much controversy. I actually wound up selling about 300 shirts. So thank you to those liberals who get angry at me all the time.
Oh my God! All right, so you've been honing your craft for a long time, clearly dedicated, starting back in the early '90s, right? I mean.
Yeah,
that's when you were kind of digging your way into the world of
very first
noise.
project. What was it? Very first project.
The legendary band, hardcore band, literally a legendary band called Disciplinary Action. And I was not the first bassist. I was upstate in prison for a while, and I was going to get jumped. Working in the kitchen, and this guy jumped in and intervened, and we started talking, and he's like, I'm from Belmore. I said, I'm from Oceanside. He asked if I knew Jeff Lanzetta. I said, yeah. He said, oh, he drums in this hardcore band, Disciplinary Action. And I did not know. I knew metal and hip-hop at the time. I didn't know about hardcore. So he said, Jeff's going to pick you up when you get out of jail. And Jeff came and picked me up with Evan Seinfeld from Biohazard, and we went out drinking. And a week later, Jeff called me. He said, we kicked Dean out of the band. We need a bassist. I said, okay. He said, you have 3 days to learn 15 songs. We're playing at Bond Street Cafe with Neglect. I said, okay. And pulled it off.
That's a great story. Sometimes that's like the best kind of a way to do something, you know?
Well, the best part of the story is that I was so nervous because it was my first time on stage. And these guys had a rabid following, and I played. I didn't realize it at the time, but I played every song a half step out of key, and nobody fucking noticed.
What were they all dropped to like E flat or something?
He dropped some songs. I just was so nervous and overwhelmed that these people, first off, there was some people booing, being like, we want Dean, and there was other people screaming, it was a lot, and I just fucked up.
Yeah.
But nobody noticed because the energy of the room was really making the vibe, not so much the music.
That's why you got to wear a mask on stage.
Yeah, well, my guitarist did at the time.
Oh, yeah? This could be anybody. Could be anybody. Jesus.
So Disciplinary Action happened. Then we played the first or second Super Bowl of hardcore, and with Sick of It All and Sheer Terror, and I had gotten really, really banged out the night before, and I made it to the city at the Ritz 5 minutes before we were supposed to go on, and they didn't think I was going to show, and they were angry, and the singer was screaming, this is your last show. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. And it was my last show. So then I started doing something called Harmony Corruption, which I would say is the original precursor to Stereo Assassin. I was sampling hip-hop, metal, and hip-hop and metal, really, and maybe a little industrial. And somehow the tape got floated around the hardcore scene, and the guys in Vision of Disorder heard it. And it got really popular on Long Island. And then next thing I know, it was in Good Times magazine, giving it like 5 stars as like one of the best things they ever heard. And I'm like, really? I just did this in my bedroom at my mother's house. And so I did 3 more tapes like that. And then I went to prison again. And, and then when I came home a couple of years later, I started Soulsick.
All right, so
holy shit, I need to digest that for a second.
Yeah. Well, anyway, a question about that time period, I guess, early '90s, when you've been like on this kind of crazy musical warpath, when like kind of hair metal and quote unquote hair metal was fizzling out, and the dirty grunge rockers came in, and you were doing your stuff.
Yeah,
you know?
I was doing Disciplinary Action.
How did you? I mean, were you into any of that stuff? Or you? That's a funny question, right? Were you into any of that, Kevin? Are you kidding? No.
As a musician, there was I dig. If it's good, I dig it.
All right, no, good.
I mean, at the time, right then,
I thought maybe you would. You were just like.
No, I wasn't like
completely anti.
No, man, not at all.
I'm doing my thing.
I mean, I remember around that time, who was that broad? She had that song, "The Love Is in the Groove." It was like a dance song or something. I can't remember.
In the early 90s?
Yeah, it was a one-hit wonder. The Groove Is in the Mix. It was a
Groove Is in the Heart, Delight.
yes,
yeah,
exactly.
Delight. But there wasn't. I mean, they were a band from New York. They
Right.
were like, they had Toate and two DJs, DJ Jungle Dimitri. They were very popular underground, especially in the city.
Right, but I didn't know that. I just knew from MTV that video.
That record, World Click, is wicked. I think you would love that,
Well,
actually.
I loved the song, and I was just like, and actually I felt a change in the air with that song. I was like, something's changing here. Besides grunge, everything's changing. Music's changing.
Well, there were
culture's
pockets
changing.
of other stuff that were like that, too. But Delight was very forward-thinking because they were very... now it's like you can let your freak flag fly for whatever it is that you're doing. But I mean, they were very like animal rights and pro-gay rights and everything, and all this really great stuff. That
they were total Greenwich Village downtown.
Yes, exactly.
Exactly. New York City band.
Exactly,
yeah.
And I mean that's a fun, cool song.
Yeah.
But when you dive deeper into that record, that's a very, very important piece of music.
I'll definitely check it out. I never listened.
World Click. It's an important record.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I might wind up sampling it.
That's cool.
But
that's another scoop here on the Musical Survive podcast.
I was not although I do consider myself a music snob, I wasn't a snob to what was coming out. I was playing with Disciplinary Action, and I'm not a big hardcore fan, but they would turn the guitarist was this mad genius. Like we would go to rehearsals, right? And half the time, let me just tell you, there was a podcast interview that I did for George Reynolds called "If I Rule the World," and he says they had Tim on from VOD a few weeks before me talking about Disciplinary Action, and I remember he said something because DA came up, and he said to the podcast guy, Tim said. He says, listen, say what you want about Disciplinary Action, but they were definitely the world's most dangerous band. And having been with those three guys, he was absolutely right. They were the epitome of hardcore. They were angry. They were dirty. They were just scary motherfuckers. We would go to rehearsal, and I would be all psyched to practice, and sometimes the practice would be them just leaning against the wall for 15 minutes, smoking a joint, and be like, all right, I'm going home. And they would just leave. They got offered record deals. They wouldn't do it. They would get offered tours. They wouldn't do it. They were just real hardcore.
Dude, did they have day jobs at the time?
Yeah, they were like real blue-collar hardcore guys. I mean,
did they have families? How old are we talking?
No, we were in our mid-20s. They just
saying.
wanted to smoke pot, sniff coke, drink, and fucking... That's it.
The world's most dangerous band hired the bass player.
They were scary guys. They would throw people out during their shows. I remember this kid.
Were they big guys?
No, they were just very intimidating guys. Their personalities. And I remember somebody...
Edward Norton.
They had a song called...
American History X.
American History X, Edward Norton kind of types.
They were... they sang a song called USA Rules. And when they said they were going to do it, someone made the mistake of booing at the Old Angle in Mineola. And the singer freaked out, and they made... the audience point out who it was, and they had him dragged out of a fucking show.
All right, so let me ask you something. Did that rub off on you at all?
I was kind of just like taking it all in. It was all new to me,
right?
That whole scene. So
let's talk about Soulsick for a second, because this is where I feel like my DNA is a little attached, albeit way too late. But a little background information on Monkey, which is my pseudonym.
I did not know that until recently.
What's that?
Somebody was calling you Monkey. I'm like, Monkey?
It's because of this guy over here. He grew up being called Soda for his entire life.
Everybody's got a nickname in my world.
Yeah,
okay.
So my closest friends, my family, they make fun of me because I don't know, monkey apparently is like a punchline to them, you know. But I've had other nicknames in the past too.
Like jerky, asshole.
Asshole is more of a
that.
that's more of a legal name, legal term. I want to say somewhere around. Somewhere around the turn of the millennium. We're talking 99, 98, 99.
I don't
maybe
want to
2000.
leave the 90s though yet, man.
All right,
I don't
no,
wanna leave
but
the
we're
90s
no.
yet.
This is just a preamble.
I'm digging the
I got a
90s.
job. I got a job selling drumsticks at Guitar Center in Carl Place.
yeah.
And lo and behold, that's where I met the one of the top selling salespeople in the accessories department, Mr. Kevin Caputo.
Yeah, I was good. I'm a good bullshit artist.
He could sell picks like no one you've ever met.
I can actually get a guy coming in for a pick and have him leave him with a guitar rig.
Yeah, have him leaving with the fucking expensive guitar pedal setup. And one night he pretty much asked me if I wanted to try out for a project, which at the time was supposed to be kind of like Soul Sick Extended.
Yeah.
I said yes, please, let's do it. You know, I was probably high at the time too, and got together. Can't exactly remember who. I remember there was a young bass player, skinny kid, really good.
Billy Gallo.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Fucking amazing bass player.
He's playing with Stereo Assassin now.
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh, so you're still in touch with him?
Yeah.
Fucking great. Anyway, we rented a room. We got together. About an hour later, Kevin's got these fucking sunny side up eyeballs looking at me. Goes, I just discovered gold. I can't fucking believe it. Dude, I didn't know you could play the drums. I feel like I just discovered gold. Like, you said that like 6 times in a row. And you made my fucking year. I was just like, thank you, finally. Let's do this. Whatever you need, let's do this. I'm at your beck and call. I know nothing about you. Post fucking sales pick salesman of the year, but pre-pick salesman of the year. But like, I'll follow you to the fucking end of the earth. Let's do this. And we did for a little bit. We wrote some very, very fucking interesting things. Interesting
it was
songs.
kind of like King Crimson, very metallic.
It was groovy. It was aggressive.
Cool.
It was hard, but it introduced me to this world of Soul Sick. And I grew up on Long Island, but I was kind of a generation late there. I mean, we're talking like a couple of years, but it still felt like a whole generation, you know. So I wasn't in the know. I didn't really understand what was going on or what had happened 10 years prior. But I started getting, a good life lesson with Kevin because he was the godfather. You know, a lot of people knew who he was. He would show me these really like old VHS tapes of, shows that they would do. Intense crowds, mosh pits that I'd never seen on a local scene. I just felt like I felt like I'd met Long Island's hardcore Elvis, and he was still around.
Well, I mean, even since like I think very close to day one, if not day one, Monkey's always been fondly speaking of you. You know, like this guy.
Oh, now I feel bad.
Even Fox knows Kevin.
Yeah,
And,
absolutely.
Also was like, yeah, Kevin, he's into this thing. He does this thing. He's really wild. He's got a goal. And after studying a little bit, clearly you do have a goal. I mean, I think you're getting your point across, which is super cool. I was saying I kind of want to stay in the 90s for a little while still. You kind of came up, obviously, in that classic hardcore scene, though, with Biohazard, Sick of It All, VOD, Sheer Terror.
Yeah.
Which is cool because in some way, shape, or form, you had some sort of relationship with all of those
All of
guys.
them, yeah.
And they were like, I mean, that's like the cream of the crop at that point. And that's completely classic now, too,
The thing about that soda is that when it started from Disciplinary Action, I was so overwhelmed and I was so new to the scene. I didn't know.
Kind of what you
I
were
didn't know
getting
the
into.
impact that there would be no VOD, there would be no neglect.
Well, Earth Crisis, Candiria, them too. I mean,
yeah, but that came a little later. But there wouldn't be a bunch of big bands without disciplinary action. And I didn't realize at the time the impact that band had, or everything that was going on around me was so important, and who these people were. I wasn't able to appreciate it because I didn't know.
How long were they together then before you got involved?
I believe they started in '87, and I joined in '91.
Okay,
I was
so
out by '93.
They had a bunch of years then, even before you were involved. So they were kind of established.
Oh yeah, they had this underground cassette tape that's like still today like world famous if you could get your hands on it. And I recorded a 7-inch with them with some label in France called Hardway Records. And then then it was over. They moved on, and then I went to prison. And I came out and I started Soul Sick, and I didn't have a band. I had a couple of songs. And go ahead.
I was gonna say though, I guess that time, since you're kind of being pretty candid about the prison thing, was because is that when for a minute there was no music happening because you were. Obviously not.
I was fucked up on drugs. I was fucked up on alcohol, and I was a violent human being.
Describe violent for me, please. What do you mean?
Like, I would just smash you in the face for asking me that question.
That's awesome. That's so cool.
Like, it was bad. I was out of control.
Okay.
And I had to be stopped. And I got into jail, and then I got exposed to recovery.
I'm sorry. Did you go to jail for being violent?
Yeah.
Like assault?
Well, I beat an armed robbery charge, but I got a lot. I literally have like 35 arrests. I would say the majority of them are for assault.
All right. 35, you only went to jail twice.
No, I went to jail more than twice.
All right. But you had like Johnny Cochran defending your ass most of the time.
Nah, I just had. I'm a white guy. My father's an NYPD cop. I got a lot of breaks.
Oh.
Sad but true.
Dude, that's legendary in itself. I mean, if you're going in and out of the system.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool that you're sharing all this.
You got any jailhouse tats?
I did, but it faded.
All right, what was it?
It was my initials in the skull and the year I was born, which we're not going to say.
All right. What year did the Titanic sink? I think it was around the same time. The old fuck.
I remember Tim from VOD. We were all hanging out one time, and he says, "Hey, Kev, you were there. What'd they serve at the Last Supper?"
Yeah, I remember Max Chianti asking you, how did they invent distortion? Because you must have been there.
I remember that.
No, but dude, anybody listening, in all honesty, though, he's in better shape than Soda and I put together if we fucking trained for a marathon. I mean, this guy's got pecs, he's got abs, he's got shoulders.
Okay.
I'm telling you, man. He's in the best shape I've ever seen.
I'm in better shape than you.
I will fucking kick your ass so fast. I will lose. I have to because I'm going to go out of breath in like 10 seconds.
If you're going to fight, you got to do it real quick.
It's be quick. Yeah, I'll go right for the balls.
Oh man.
Okay, but still, no. Anybody who takes a look at this cat, all right? In no means
He's
do
tough.
I. In no means, am I.
I'm tough, but I'm not a bully, and I'm not a troublemaker unless people come at me. Then I'm just vicious. But I'm not.
Well, what you just did was you just invited a bunch of people to fucking come at you, man.
Well, he's going to sell 15 more
Right,
T-shirts.
exactly,
He's going to sell
right.
15 more T-shirts now.
Right.
Come get your T-shirts.
So, because I've had a lot of problems, so...
But clearly you could take care of yourself, all right? Clearly you could take care of yourself. I mean, he's got a tattoo of the Hydra octopus on his fucking his hand.
Yeah.
That's evil.
Got that last night,
Hydra.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if it looks really fresh.
Yeah, I got it last night, and the pain was 3 a.m, and my friend Rhonda, she's an amazing tattoo artist, and I'm like, I cannot take the fucking pain. She's like, don't be a pussy. I'm like, I'm going to punch you in the head if you don't stop. Like, I need to stop. It hurts too much.
I can see that. I see you just punching the chick in the face. All right, keep going.
She was awesome. She's a really good friend, and she does great tattoos, but like I was worn out by then, and she just wanted to finish, and I couldn't deal.
It's done though, right?
Yeah, so.
No, we have to re-hit it because what happens is...
Well, because it's all black.
At some point... a lot of times your hand swells up so much that the ink can't get in anymore.
Right.
And so that's what happened. So it's got to
gotcha.
heal, and she's got to fill it in again.
Right.
All right, well, he's got the Hydra fucking tattoo on his right
Yeah,
hand. He's got the
it
devil
looks super
star on the
fresh, I
left
was
hand.
gonna-
So, I mean,
And let me just say, I got the Hydra tattoo for two things. I love Marvel Comics. I love Captain America.
Sure, yeah.
I like evil things, like imagery of evil. So I wasn't going to get the Captain America shield tattooed on me, you know.
Chris Evans' biceps.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Nice.
So it had no other connotations other than I like Marvel
No,
Comics.
it's
yeah.
why people get like Decepticon, decals on their cars. It's just cooler. It's just cooler.
It is cool. But anyway, so because I wanted to dive just maybe a little bit deeper into the Soul Sick thing.
Please, please.
You recorded a debut record performing An Exact Revenge with Soul Sick, but due to whatever events that happened within the band, you didn't put it out until, when that was like 98, 99, right?
Yeah.
And then some 10 years later, you released the record on your own.
Yeah.
Now, were you still excited about it 10 years later, or were you just feeling like, I have this thing and it's a drag that I never put it out, or were you still like, this is just so good that it's criminal that I'm not doing it, you know what I mean? And you can be completely pretentious about it because it's your own shit.
Yeah, no,
why not?
Listen, I listened to it last night for the first time in like 2 years.
The Soul Sick record.
Yeah, and I was
Performing
like,
An Exact Revenge.
I was sitting there thinking to myself, you're a really good fucking songwriter. But then
cool.
there's other times I listen to it and I'm like, dude, that sucks. You know what I mean?
It's so 90s.
Well, it's outdated by the time. I was excited to release it, but
You got to get it off your chest. Though.
Well,
you
I
gotta
mean,
get
look,
it out.
for again, we mentioned previously for people that don't play music, recording a record is a huge undertaking. It's a huge undertaking because so much stress and preparation, anxiety, and like a multitude of other emotions and feelings go into writing music, and then when you record it, it's like.
Well, I wrote all the music for the band, and I was the singer. So I would write the music, then show the band.
So you were heavily connected to these songs.
Yeah, they were
completely.
Like my
they were
children.
They were his
mine.
kids. Right. Yeah.
And then we actually, the label that signed us, 718 Records, was actually Bay Ridge Booking, and they had called us in '96. Maria and Ken Creedy, and they were the biggest metal booking agency on the East Coast. They booked everybody: Meshuggah, Typo Negative, Snot, Seven Dust, and they called us.
Those are all big names.
I was just going to say that's a wild chunk right there.
And they're like, we like that demo you did. We did a 5-song demo, Still Sick and Suffering, and they're like, we like that demo. We want to sign you with our booking agency. And next thing you know, we're playing with Meshuggah. We're playing with Getting High with the singer of Snot, who unfortunately passed away from getting high. But with Seven Dust coming up to us, telling us they love us, they want to take us on tour. Indecision, everybody, anybody, Candiria, Madball, we played with them, and then they offered us a record deal, and we went in and recorded somewhere in Queens, and AJ Novello from Leeway produced the album. And he's a great guy, but he was a pain in the fucking ass. And I was not getting along with the band. I was having my demons with the, addiction and stuff like that were popping up. And I was not getting along with the band. I wasn't getting along with AJ. We had Ken, Schalk, and Carly Coleman from Candiria guest appearing. It was a lot going on. And then the drugs just took over. And the record company said, we're not doing this. We're basically all we're doing is bailing you out of jail. We're your bail bondsman. And the band called a meeting. And I got, in my arrogance, I was like, you don't call fucking meetings. I'm soul sick. I call the meetings. And they're like, you can come or you cannot come. I said, I'm not going. And the next day, the guitarist called me. I'm like, what do you want? He goes, we had the meeting. I was like, the fuck do I care? He goes, there's no more Soul Sick. And I said, I tell you when Soul Sick is over. So I convinced him a few months later to stay on, and the bassist, and we got a new drummer. But it was a humbling dose of reality. Soul Sick really made an impact, and we affected a lot of people. But it was just the chemistry between all of us. It wasn't just me. And because when we played with that drummer, the magic was gone. when we played with the new drummer. And the old drummer, Dan, we don't get along. We never liked each other. But it was still the chemistry of the music. So it was a hard dose for me to humble myself and be like, yeah, I wrote the songs. I was the front man. I was always getting asked for autographs and doing interviews. But, without those three exact guys, there is no Soul Sick. So that was hard to accept. And so I had to let it go. And then that's where I ran into Ronnie. And I was kind of thinking, let's do this Soul Sick 3.0 version. And then it kind of like...
It was more like 11.0.
Yeah, right.
It was so far removed. It wasn't Soul Sick.
Yeah, we were going to...
We actually had... You came up with the name for the project, and I fucking loved it.
What was it?
It was Super Tank.
That's right.
Yeah. You came
up
with it.
That is a cool
But that
name.
was also like a couple of months in. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, we weren't... It was very obvious that this wasn't Soul Sick. And it was very obvious that
I didn't want to do rap.
We were going to do some new, we were going to try some original stuff with the guitar player and the bass player and the new drummer and everything. It was not going to be Soul Sick, but Kevin was still very much the conductor. He's still very much in charge, telling us what to do, telling us what to play. I never had a problem with that. I can't speak for the other guys. I want to say half of them may have, half of them may have not. But, easily a few weeks later, a couple months later, Kevin's like, yo, I came up with a project name. We're going to be Super Tank. And then, all of a sudden, you started sending us fucking images. Like, you were coming up with decals. You were coming up with shirts.
I made shirts.
Yeah, he's like, yeah. And I was like, Super Tank. That's fucking. That's a.
I forgot about that.
That was a big name. That was a big name in my mind. That was like, you think of a super tank, you just think of just sheer power, you know. And this has to drive our music, so we need to get fucking big. We need to get aggressive. This needs to be the heaviest thing that I've ever been involved in. And that was fine with me because at the time I had so much energy, so much adrenaline.
Yeah, you were young and pumped.
I was ready to take on the world, man. I didn't give a shit. I was single. I was a virgin. I was getting ready to get my lollipop licked, and I thought this was going to be the way to do it. This was going to be the way.
But we never left the rehearsal room.
But
the fact is, and I'd be hard pressed to know the answer to this, but at some point it kind of all ended. And I don't even remember how or why.
Probably because of my addiction.
It's possible. I don't know if I ever brought this up, but we had just finished a song, and I'm fucking panting, and I'm thirsty, and I grabbed your Gatorade, and you froze. You were like, "No, dude, that's got my medication in it." I took a fucking fat swig.
Vodka.
It was vodka. Now look, at the time, I don't want to say I was a choir boy, right? But I was a lot more in tune with the sobriety that you were trying to maintain. And I couldn't identify the alcohol that was in the drink, but I knew there was alcohol in there. And something in me, I don't want to say snapped, but something in me definitely kind of awoke. I became a little bit more aware. And I started realizing that this newfound energy of yours might have been a little masked. And today, I would say, fucking great. Drink it up. Go nuts. Let's party. Let's do this. Back then, I kind of felt like I needed to... I felt like an advocate to your sobriety. You know what I'm saying? I
don't think it was the energy, the driving force of the energy. I think it sapped my energy, and I think we would have really done more. Anything I did
nothing really like there was no attitude adjustments. We never fought. I don't ever remember. You and I had never been in an argument.
No, nothing like that.
No,
but James was a good father. Me and James have good chemistry. The guitarist from Soul Sick, James Barbella.
Yeah, James Barbella. He ended up coming back. Right,
and we worked good because and this is not a disrespect to him. He's one of those guys who likes to be told, like, let's do things this way. And I'm one of those guys who likes to say, let's do things this way. So we fit very well together.
Yeah.
Dan, the drummer from Soul Sick, was like me. He wanted to be in control, and I didn't want to, and so we did not get along at all. And then Matt, who passed away, unfortunately, very sad, passed away 2 years ago. Left behind 3 kids, a wife. He was a Suffolk cop. He had grown up. Matt,
wait, he died on duty?
No, he had brain cancer.
Oh.
And Matt was funny. I said he's a cop, so you picture this big, tough cop, but he was always so scared around me. He was so nervous. Whenever I would come into the room, he would start to stutter. Like uncontrollably. I'm like, Matt, I love you. Just come on, relax, buddy. He was the nicest guy in the world, though, and he always tried to be the peacekeeper.
Well, you were also very touchy feely. I kind of remember. You know, you were like the most touchy feely heterosexual man I've ever met. To the point where there was this kid at Guitar Center who was straight up homosexual, and he told me, "Dude, I'm the only gay guy that works here, and Kevin's like 10 times gayer than I am."
That's cute.
Yeah, I got a friend who's gay. Once in a while, I'll send him a dick shot just to make him happy. Go ahead, Rob. Do what you got to do.
It's funny
bro.
though. It's funny.
I don't care.
But he is, yeah. Now, Kevin, aside from all the violence and maybe this depiction of a tough guy. Fucking one of the softest souls, one of the softest touches you'll ever meet. I mean, very friendly, super approachable, and he'll listen to you if you're talking to him because he wants to know what you think. And I got that right away from him. He was really approachable, even though at the time he was kind of intimidating when I met him.
I would always say,
full of tats, and
what do you think of this? What do you think of this song? Do you think this is right? Should we change
Yeah.
this?
He's always very, very. He wanted me to feel comfortable doing what we were doing.
What I really
and just luckily,
wanted,
I just loved everything that came out of it.
I wanted you to feel comfortable. Mostly, what my attitude to music is, I don't care who wrote it or who said it. If it helps the song, it goes.
Yeah.
You know, let the song dictate what needs to be, not who's in charge and gets to get their piece in. If it works for the song, then it stays.
You know, the more I think about it, actually, Soda, you're very, very similar style. You were never overbearing, but at the same time, you were very clear with what you liked and you didn't like, and it was easy to. It was easy to drop it when we had to drop it, and it was easy to agree with it when we had to agree with it.
That's cool.
You guys have a very similar style because you both come up with great ideas. You know what I'm saying? And then you were both eager to make sure that idea was great all around. Not just, hey guys, I got a great idea. You got to learn it. You have no choice. You know what I'm saying?
My frustration was that I'm not a guitarist, but I would write the music on guitar.
Yeah, that he could fool you though. You give him a guitar, he'll fool you.
Well, you know, I can do some stuff, right? But I don't consider myself a guitarist whatsoever. So what I had in my head, I couldn't always get out into my hands. So I really relied on the band to kind of understand what I couldn't play, what was going on in my head, and because Ronnie's a sick drummer. Yep. James had no belief in his ability. He does now, but at the time he didn't. And I was always like, James, you can kill it. You can kill it. And so I relied on anybody I play with to do what I can't do myself. And that's how I worked it.
James Barbella, one of the sickest guitar players I've ever played with.
Yeah, he's great.
Well,
and he looks like a chef.
He is a chef.
Is he really?
Yeah.
He got into cooking?
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
All of this soul sick talk, right? Can we play a soul sick track? Can we do
Absolutely.
that? Cool. So, what do you want to play? What do you think? What do you want to give us?
Do I want to give you? Do I want to give you the song that everybody loved?
No. What was Dan's least favorite song?
Dan's least every song I wrote.
Oh, Dan.
It's funny because I knew Dan slightly. You might even know Dan. Dan Comas. He was kind of a Long Island phenomenon. He was a great drummer.
He was a great drummer.
He probably still is, even if he hasn't played in a while. He went to 5 towns. He studied music.
Nice.
A lot of guys that I grew up with at my school who were amazing musicians at the time and still are today probably. They still know him. amazing drummer. Really, really great drummer.
I remember being in Soul Sick, and literally people used to always ask. I was the front guy, and I got a big personality and stuff, so people would always ask for my autograph, like at the malls or at shows, anywhere I went. And the rest of the guys were they were a lot younger. They were very reserved and shy. They didn't believe in their abilities. And when we started getting big, and I remember somebody asked after a show, Dan to sign his drumstick for them. I remember he started to cry. He was like, yes. He was like, had tears in his eyes. And I was proud of him. Even though I always wanted to choke him, I was proud. I was like, good for you, bro. Good. I'm happy.
That is great. Yeah. That's a good story.
All right, well, let's send a song out to Dan.
Yeah,
all right,
this is going
Dan,
out
you hate this song.
This is going out to
what song do you hate, Dan?
This is going out to Dan Thomas.
Let's play Strike the Nail.
Cool. All right, Dan. If your ears are ringing, there's a good reason for it, man. Here you go. Here's some Soul Sick. Yeah. So that was cool. Dan, if you're out there somewhere.
I miss him. I'll tell you this sort of those 5-6 years was such an exciting electric scene. There were so many bands coming up. Mm-hmm. We were on so many comps. We accomplished so much. I'll never forget that stuff. I mean, I remember playing a show with Candiria and Hatebreed, and when we went on someplace in Mineola, and when we went on, the place just went insane when we went on, and then afterwards I was in the bathroom right after the show. I went into the bathroom, catch my breath, couldn't decompress.
Sure.
Some guy comes in and his lip is split, literally as wide as this microphone, gushing blood, and he's like, "Were you the singer of that band?" He had never seen us before, and I said, "Yeah," and he goes, "Look what happened." And I'm like thinking he's going to get mad. He goes, "I haven't bled like this in years," and he high-fived me.
That's awesome.
It was a great time.
That's too funny. So there was a while after you finally released that Soul Sick record where you didn't really do much.
No.
And then finally Stereo Assassin started to happen for you. This whole kind of alter ego. I don't even know if it's an alter ego. It's really kind of just you. Really, just you, right? Stereo Assassin. I mean, it's not. It is you. I mean, there's no bullshit behind it. This is what Kevin's about, and this is what Kevin's going to give to you.
I am Stereo Assassin. Unfortunately, I would like it to be a full band. Logistically, I'm finally getting close how to figure out how to do all the electronics with a band. I've always been very intimidated to do that. So I kind of stayed away from it and just never really played live. I've been asked to DJ all this music all over the world. I have no interest in that, and I've explained this many times. Go look on YouTube these D&B guys. What a bunch of shit, pretending to twist buttons now and again. And they're not doing anything. It's an act. And you can see how awkward and uncomfortable they feel on stage. And I feel like that's robbing fans. So if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it with a band. And I have a band worked out. So
that's cool.
That's going to happen.
That's awesome. Do you feel that this is your best work? This stuff that you're doing now?
It depends. Yeah, it's the best work that I want to be doing. You know, who knows? In 10 years, I'm doing something else. That'll be my best work.
No, that's cool. It's great that you've just been a part of this for so long.
I love it. I love what I do.
That is the most important thing, though.
You're a musician.
That is the most important thing.
The biggest thing that gets me depressed is when I run into other musicians who I really admired, and there's a lot of them around here where we live, and they don't.
No, Long Island. I mean, it's whether you think so or not, it is kind of like a hot spot. It's really always been right.
And what bothers me is I'll see these guys and
just because it's not New York City or Brooklyn, you know what I mean? It's got I'm like. No, that is not the case.
No, I would venture to say there might be more talent out here than at least with the heavier scene.
Okay.
Than in the city. But nothing depresses me more than seeing these guys I admire, and then they grew up and they're not playing anymore. For me, and maybe it's like this for you, I couldn't stop playing if I wanted to.
I started playing at a really young age. I don't come from a musical family. My family were music enthusiasts, and they didn't discourage my want to pursue anything, really, you know what I mean? And there was some old instruments in my attic or whatever, and I remember I picked up a guitar. It was totally out of tune, real beat up. And then, I'd pound on pots and pans and boxes and anything like that. And then I started taking piano lessons, which is a great way to start. Totally rudimentary, you know what I mean? You got the whole thing going on for you. And whenever I took lessons on anything from guitar to drums to piano, because I did study all of these things, I wasn't into it because that approach of this very sterile, you're gonna read this piece and we're gonna play it this way, and I mean, I would always be like, okay, whatever. So I'd go along with the lesson, but then I was always just really just wanting to do my own thing. And then when I got past a certain point, when I could kind of just start to write my own songs and they were getting kind of cool, that's when I was like, forget it. I'm just not interested in theory, into reading and all this other stuff. Although too, I went to college for music and applied science and stuff. And I was originally I was going to stay in for the whole 4 years. But 2 years into college, the band that I was in, we got a production deal. And it was a nice big promising thing. So I just finished my 2-year program, and we worked with this label for a while, and then unfortunately the label just after 2 years it basically just disappeared and stopped talking to us. But whatever, that's a story I think I've mentioned a few times on this here podcast. It's like it's just such a crazy story. But
well, me, I'm the opposite. I didn't come from any type of musical family. I wasn't encouraged. In fact, I remember my first instrument was drums, and I remember my father constantly yelling down into the basement, "Shut the fuck up, you suck." You know.
Well, I mean, yeah, no, my house we made a lot of noise because my house was like HQ for that stuff. Everybody would come over, you know, and we were actually doing it in one of my sister's old bedrooms after they had moved out. So we were making all this fucking noise like right above my mother's head. It wasn't even downstairs.
Did she mind?
She was just happy that she knew that she knew where we were.
Right,
you know what I mean?
Right. I think my father would have wished he didn't know where we were at the time. He was not a big supporter.
You know, and anything that kind of had me doing something, my mother's pretty supportive. Because when I was younger, I was definitely like not very social. I don't know, it's weird. I definitely became a lot more social because when I got more and more involved in music and all this art crap and everything, I got the hint, and I kind of knew you had to be like a schmoozer. You got to really go out there. You got to talk to everybody. You got to be somewhere all the time. And I mean, I lived that for a solid many, many years. And after our band broke up, me and Monkey, Nox Cult, I kind of had said to myself, I was like, excuse me, I was like, Nox Cult is going to be my last band. It's just I just can't handle it anymore. It's just too much. But I don't know how true that even is. It's been like 2 years, and I haven't started another band. I haven't been playing. I don't have the urge to really get into another band. I put out a little solo recording that I did on my own last year. A very weird, super artistic thing that I wouldn't even barely call music. There's like spoken word on there. There's just sounds. There's weird stuff, you know. And it was really fun for me to kind of just get that out. But I mean, who knows? But I totally get it. When you play music and when you've been doing it forever, it's like, how do you not do it?
I don't know anything else,
know?
and it's like just calls me. It's like I'll be laying in bed, and then all of a sudden this creative thing will just smack me, and I just get up. I'm fortunate.
Well, right. When you're creative like that, it's almost kind of like you're a little bit of an alien, you know, because there are people that that are very creative. There are people that are just like simpler and plain, and I actually kind of envy that sometimes because I'm like, man, like you like things very simple, and you go here and then you come home and everything is basic, and I'm like, oh God. I kind of like that because I'm not calm. Like, I'm not a calm person. I'm calmer now than I have ever been, but I'm just like, always like wound really tight. You know?
Yeah, sometimes I get jealous, like, you know, as musicians, we're a little weird, we're a little eccentric, we're a little
you
out
definitely
there.
have to be fucking, something's got to be wrong with you to do this shit.
Right, we're not white picket fence guys, and sometimes I see that, and I get a little jealous. I'm like, how do you get that? And, you know, it bothered me.
Exactly, though. I definitely, I totally get that.
Yeah,
totally get
and but I've come to the realization, guys like us don't get that. That's not what we're meant for.
I mean, even at times when I've tried so hard to just have like a normal situation or whatever, it gets weird. Something always gets fucking weird. I'm like, man, it's just the cross I bear, I guess, you know. And that's cool. I accept that completely.
Right, exactly.
I totally accept
Just
it.
accept it. And
it is what it is.
Good part of it is we're part of a family of musicians all over the world that the rest of the world looks at us with envy.
That is true because, you know, yeah, I hate to because I don't really get braggy or pretentious or whatever about stuff, but be it that Monkey has now joined Facebook for the past couple of months. He was off social media forever. No, don't even applaud that. Applaud the fact that he wasn't on it.
That's true.
That was always really cool. Did you see what I put up today?
I did.
There was a piece that
I was actually going to ask you to explain yourself.
That Soundsphere magazine in the UK is like a big thing.
Yeah.
and they're always, always doing really great stuff. And they review like top of the line. They review like they get into the little guy. You know what I mean? And everywhere in between. This morning they just published like this really unbelievable piece about me.
Really?
And I was like, I shared it, and I was like, this is the nicest, most amazing thing that anyone has ever written or said about me ever in my whole time of doing this crazy shit. That right there is the nicest thing that anybody has ever said or written about me, and I want to thank Dom Smith.
A little preamble. How did that happen?
Well, it's a really cool story, actually. Dom Smith is this really awesome little entrepreneurial nut from the UK. I mean, the guy is just so inspirational. And he's doing this thing now that he's like, it calls like rock disability or whatever for, I don't know the exact name, but he's quote unquote disabled as that goes. He has crutches or whatever. His sticks, his canes or whatever. I think he calls them his sticks.
Are you trying to be politically correct?
I am. And I hate saying that because
shit now? Jesus Christ.
Not
is
even.
Is it handy-capable?
Only because.
Is it able but just not?
No, listen. Only because Dom Smith is the most capable person that I think I may have ever met.
Excuse me for my little outrage, but is there a new term for like handicap?
There might be, but I mean.
Jesus.
But anyway, whatever. I don't even want to talk about that because that's not the point. Dom is amazing.
I'm sorry, Dom.
No, he's amazing. He's amazing. I adore him, and he's very, very smart. And he goes for it. Like he's just always going for it. He had been in the States for a while. Like he gets work here. He travels by himself. He's incredible. But when I was in his Mighty Robot, he found, I think maybe the EP or the full length that we put out. And him and his guys there were like just going bananas over these records. And we didn't even know. So I think they contacted us and they wound up doing this really, really amazing piece on his Mighty Robot, which was awesome.
What year?
Maybe like 10 years ago.
Okay.
And it was amazing because we were still really young, and I had come out of a band that I was in for a while, even the band that had the production deal. And when that dissolved, I was really, really bummed out. I didn't do anything for a couple months, and then I started writing, and I put his Mighty Robot together. That's probably the band that I actually had the most success with, because, I mean, I would come home to letters from, like, A&R guys in Australia because they heard songs, and it was fucking crazy. That had never happened before.
That's awesome.
That had never happened. And I was like, whoa, man. And then I remember me and H. Rocker did, like, this, like, 14 gig in 13 day tour down the East Coast. And we would go down south and we'd be in like the hottest fucking paper. It was the craziest thing. And I have all this shit in like in trunks that I call like my life's work. I have like 2 trunks. That is me. Like when I go, get that out there. Like get my word heard, that's where you gotta go. Monkey. Those trunks, they're in our bedroom. John will know, he'll show you where it is. But
you said when you go?
When I'm no longer here, when I become soil, and you're still here, you need to fly.
When the clothes that you're wearing kind of goes to the floor and you just disappear like a Jedi.
But his Mighty Robot was so cool for me. I don't know how we did it.
Clearly, I'm in the presence of like 2 fucking Jedis.
I remember
if you guys ever decide to like fight,
I'll give you a bunch of music.
If you guys ever if you 2 ever fought with like lightsabers and like your clothes would just fall to the floor, your bodies would evaporate, and I'd be holding the camera.
No, it's cool. I mean, because like I said, my problem is, Kevin. What's funny is that how a lot of like assholes.
He hasn't met the right drummer yet.
Assholes are the ones that really are successful. You know what I mean?
Ooh.
That is not true.
I absolutely agree with Soda.
Thank you.
No, come on.
Thank
seriously?
you.
I am a nice guy.
Just hold on. You're a nice guy.
Actually, I'm an asshole.
You're an okay guy. I'm a very decent person. And I think that's always been part of the fucking problem. Even my sisters are like, they're like, all these people and you can do all this shit. They're like, just go ask. I'm like, I'm not going to ask for anything. People know. And if they want to do something, They will. They'll help me out. And they have. I've met a lot of people that have, championed my work, like Dom, especially, because the whole thing with the UK. He's the second he found out about his Mighty Robot, he really stuck it out. He's always been an advocate for my shit, which is amazing. And he was here last month doing work in the States, and he came to stay at the house for like a day or two. And he's like, Soda, can I interview you? And I was like, well, yeah, that's so cool, And we sat in the dining area, and we did this really nice little interview, you know what I mean? And then I woke up today to this piece, and I'm on the front page with like all these other crazy artists, and I'm like, man, I was like, that's so cool, I've never gone to the UK, I haven't had the chance, and it sucks because when I was in his Mighty Robot, I was in a side project called One Last November, and we had a song called Reason Why that charted over there.
Get out of here, yeah.
We couldn't afford to get there, and the guy that was doing the One Last November thing, he had all these songs, and I went to college with him. And I remember he walked down the hall one day, and he's like, are you in a band? I was like, yeah. He's like, do you think we can, like, talk and hang out or whatever? So his name is Jordan, or is Jordan. I don't know where he is now. But he's actually in California. But many years later, he's like, I've had bad luck with all these singers. He's like, can you come sing? I've got all these really cool songs recorded. And he had these, like, beautifully produced songs with this guy, Mike Sapone, who did Brand New, Taking Back Sunday, like all those guys. And we went to Sapone Studios, and I wrote down all these lyrics, and I did all these vocal melodies, and we put this One Last November EP together, and it's fucking beautiful. It is the most radio-ready, published, polished, poppy, most commercially viable thing that I have personally ever done. Because I'm not very commercial. I'm off the beaten path. Like just by nature, like I like that stuff, and I like those sounds and everything. But it was like, when I got into this project, it was really a test for me, because I had to kind of lean back on the weird that the Soda world is and try to be almost like a pop singer. And I love pop music. I listen to tons of it, but I just don't make pop music. I just can't. I make fucking weird music. I make sad songs with weird sounds in them, or angry songs with crazier sounds in them. But I'll give that to you too, Kevin. I'll give you a bunch of shit. Next week, you'll call me and you'll say, I like this, I don't like that. And then you and Monkey are going to start a fucking band. And then there you go. There you go. And that's it. Super Tank Part 2.
We're similar, because I like to make weird music. And I say to myself, before I say this, I always say, I don't care if nobody liked our music. I do it for me first.
Sure.
That's very important.
That's why I was going to say you got to explain yourself, because you put out a Facebook post essentially asking how many of you would back me if I decided to come up with some new material or release something.
Okay, that's...
And my question for you, and I'm trying to be a dick here, to be honest with you.
How unusual.
Is what's the line of demarcation? Like, how many people are you expecting to respond before
I'll tell you right now. The whole point. I was just curious, because I'm at the point now where I'm not going to dish out all this money to put out a record, make like 1,000 CDs, and have them sit in my garage for 15 years.
You hear what he just said, though, right? He just said,
but I got a way around that.
Yes, that's my point. You just said. Make this new record, dish out a bunch of money,
but
for
it's
CDs,
it's not a new record.
That's the thing. It's like your statement, what you just said, is 10 years old.
Yes.
I'm not going to put out CDs like I did with Therapy Sessions.
Essentially, today, you do not have to invest because yet you don't, because you already have.
$80, you can get worldwide distribution on iTunes everywhere.
And CD Baby and all that stuff, and I get it. And if I'm allowed to continue the thought, and I appreciate your feedback. But hold on. When I put out Therapy Sessions in October, I made like a really cool DIY bundle in which I made 20 CDs of this one release, right? And it came with 4 or 5 other like homemade components in this black envelope that said confidential on it. You know what I mean? And I sold those, and that was the end of it. I still have a couple left, and now it lives digitally. It spread its wings. It's on Spotify, actually. It's on these super weird sites. Like once in a while, I'll do like a search, and I'm like, holy shit, that's bizarre. Like someone in Hungary like posted this on their webpage or something. It's fun. It's cool.
I enjoy that.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Who wouldn't?
Too.
Who wouldn't? I mean,
It's
seriously.
super cool.
The coolest
But
thing...
his objective wasn't mass production. Like your objective.
No.
was
I
never-
mean, this thing that I put out was just for me, really.
Yeah.
Because I hadn't put out like a soda, quote unquote soda thing in a minute.
I called it a cry for help.
And it's not a cry. It's not a cry for help.
It was. You know why?
Contrary to
you know why?
what
Because
he says.
you know why? Because a couple months after he released it, we started the podcast. And
So it was an open letter to Monkey.
That's right. and ever since
It was his swan song.
and ever since Soda has been this wonderful podcast host that is reaching as far as the internet can reach in the galaxy.
You know, it's
So we
so
hope
funny
so, you know?
because George Reynolds, who played in Earthling Massive, Mind Over Matter.
Earthling.
Yeah.
I loved them.
Yeah, and George Reynolds was this amazing local Long Island hardcore legend, and he's exactly like
I
you.
haven't
He
heard
said-
that name in a while.
He said, he's like, I just don't want to do music. I kind of just want to do a podcast now.
Just get your ideas out. Just talk to people. Let them
And
know what
he's
you're
Well,
doing
doing.
again,
exactly what you're
it comes
doing.
into my whole like geek realm because
Right.
I am kind of super geeky with the things that I
Super
love.
geeky. Are you kidding me? You're a fucking encyclopedia, dude. You're sitting in front of a stranger, and every 3 words that he says, you're like, you know it,
Well,
or
that's
he
cool.
helps
Thanks,
you, or he
Monkey
helps
Man.
you recall your memory. Like,
Right. Well, that's I
he
need help
just
with
he
that.
just knows. But that's my point. He just knows. This is the gold that I discovered. Do you understand what I'm
Yes,
saying?
I do.
Oh, monkey.
Well, I wanted to say, what I wanted to say was, even if nobody listened to it, I would make the music for just myself. For
sure.
But how fortunate are we, or specifically am I, that I make exactly what I want because I don't have a fucking band, which when you're in a band, you're married to 3 other bitchy fucking wives. You know what I mean? It's a horror show.
It's a different relationship.
Marriage is the wrong
anything.
word unless you're signed to a label. If you're
Well,
not signed to a label,
Soulsick was a marriage.
Yeah.
Well, we were signed though. You're
But
right.
if you're not signed to a label, it's a fucking, you're just in an open relationship with a bunch of people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I can't remember who said it, but the best way to put it is that the band comes with all the stress of being in a relationship. It comes with all the pros and the cons. And then somebody will ask you, well, if you're in a relationship, what about the sex? The sex is the live show.
Sure, that's right.
The live show
Yeah.
is the sex.
For sure.
The end of the show is the orgasm, the aftermath. Who knows? It might have been a shitty fucking session.
That
might have
happens.
Might have been the worst sex you've ever had.
That's right.
Or it might have been the best sex you'll ever have, and you just want more and more and more. But the fucking band is a relationship, no doubt. And it is between a bunch of fucking
yeah.
platonic people who just love each other to the point where they want to sweat with each other. They want to bleed with
Sometimes
each
not
other.
platonic.
I guess. You've been around longer than
Dan
I
was
have.
trying to fuck me every chance he got.
I knew it. I knew it.
Ba-da-bop.
There you go.
I kind of knew Dan.
But just to finish the point there, I feel so fortunate that I'm making music for myself, and there's literally thousands and thousands of people all over the world that enjoy what I'm doing, which to me is just like, wow. That is just the coolest shit ever. Or to get mail,
is
like
the
you
coolest
said, from
thing.
like Japan and we love you in New Zealand.
No, it is the coolest thing, and I've said this a bunch of times too, is like, of course, I would love to be completely self-sustainable and pay my bills and whatever else, making money off of this stuff, music, art, writing, whatever it is. You know what I mean? I have a day gig. I have a day gig that I fucking hate, okay? But I know that I have so much to offer the universe, you know what I mean? So that really gets you through the day. And I have offered the universe a ton of really, really cool stuff. I've put it out there. You've done that, Monkey's done that.
Yeah.
But real quick, just so I don't forget, you had asked me about the post that I made. A lot of people do the pledge music thing, Kickstarter thing now, which is cool, which is really cool. I've supported a lot of campaigns for artists that I really
Doesn't
like.
work though.
Well, why though?
Because people would rather give to the sick, dying dog than some band that wants to make an album.
Well, I mean, I guess
I'm not trying to like. listen, I wish it wasn't like that, but I've learned the hard reality that that's the truth.
Well, I mean, I have given to the animals and I have given to the artists. So I'm
my question is, what do you need help with?
But it's not even that I need help with it. Okay, so back to the whole His Mighty Robot thing. Okay, I loved that band ferociously.
Yeah,
and that is a very long, sordid, sad, amazing story of His Mighty Robot. It is like big screen worthy. And I don't say that because I was involved with it. Like, if I read the book of this band and I was not involved with it, I would have been like, oh, man, that's a lot. But Heather, H-Rocker, who I adored, I still adore, she's gone. You know what I mean? She's been gone for 6 years, I think. She was my partner in crime in His Mighty Robot. I started the band 6 months into it. I had one guitar player. It didn't work out with him. And then the H joined me. I went to a record store one night that we worked at, and I was like, H, man, I was like, come over, because I've got these really cool songs that I think you might like. She came over. She learned the parts, and she was a savant. She could play anything. Her ear was insane. She was amazing. We were the core of His Mighty Robot. We had lots of different members that came and went. Before her, I had this guy, Izzy, who actually was Jem's husband. Years ago, Izzy passed away from brain cancer. 6 years ago, Heather died. And 10 months before Heather died, my drummer died in His Mighty Robot. He hung himself at his job.
This is the most depressing thing I've ever heard right now.
So when...
It's rock and roll.
This is crazy. This is
when we...
Just to give you an idea of my partner in crime here, he's been around a lot of really bad things. Very.
I mean, we were making our third record, and it was finally, like, not that I didn't love everything, but we had the band that we always wanted in place, me and her. You know what I mean? And we had AC Slade coming in and producing the thing. He came every week from Brooklyn to produce these songs, and I had never let anybody outside in to fucking produce any of my tunes ever.
Right.
Never, ever, ever.
Can you remind me who AC Slade was?
I will. It was very hard for me to do that, Kevin. And after a couple of months or weeks with AC, like, being able to let go for me was really cool.
It's like leaving your kid with a stranger for a few hours.
It was a neat experience. Now, AC Slade, Murder Dolls, dope. Joan Jett's bass player.
Okay, yes, gotcha.
Is now the touring guitar player for the Misfits. Second tour, you know.
Yeah.
And AC's incredible. He's a hard worker. He's always on the run. He's just a great guy, and he's been through a lot of shit. He's turned his life around. He's super successful, and I haven't spoken to him in a long time. I actually played in his project, The Dark Party, for a very short period of time. That opportunity was really, really nice and beautiful and amazing, and it was awesome that AC, like, trusted me enough to play guitar for him and take on these songs. We played one gig. We played like a Christmas show. It was quick. I learned 6 songs. I was like, oh man, we wanted to do it more, but those guys, his bass player Percy plays with Madame Mayhem now, and they're with Seven Dust. They're out with Seven Dust right now. Chris DK was his drummer who plays with the Gender Torturers. So it was like all these cool guys, you know, and AC was doing His Mighty Robot thing with me. When we finally got the songs in fine-tuned, we had these 10 immaculate songs that we started to record in Pennsylvania. And we were recording them with Virus from Dope, who played in Device with the guys from Disturbed. So we you know, it was time for His Mighty Robot. After like 7 years, it was time, you know? And we were about to unleash the sickest record ever. So me and George went back and forth to Pennsylvania. And after George finished his drums, he came home and he killed himself. We didn't finish the record. We didn't finish recording it. I had scratch guitar tracks down. It shook us to the core. Heather got really sick, and she went away for a while. And me and Mike continued to play. And then she died. And that was it. I just couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't do it.
Well, that would take it out of you.
But we have the whole record. We have rehearsals of the whole record, and we have one decent recording of like the whole thing from a rehearsal room,
The demo version.
which I would love. It's always been an idea. I would love to.
What do you need
I would love to put it out.
Release that record?
I got to just sit with it and listen to it. And my guy who's been mastering my stuff for the past like 3 years, he did Emotion Picture, he did Knox Cult, he did like some of the Soda stuff.
He's a very cool engineer upstate.
Mike Rogers, he's brilliant. He's
we'll
worked with Delight and Erasure and Public Enemy and all these really cool. Yeah, Mike Rogers is the man. My friend Callie hooked me up with him. Callie is like this incredible producer engineer too, who's studied abroad. I met her at an Emotion Picture show actually when we opened for Free Dominguez from the Kidney Thieves and Static from Ours, which was like a dream gig for me because I love those people. She found us and then she hooked me up with Mike. Callie produced the Emotion Picture single that we put out, and then Mike mastered it. I would go to Mike again, and I would say I have like another 16 weirdo tracks that sound like shit that I don't have like single tracks. You know, I don't have the pieces of them or the stems or whatever. It's just the thing.
It's like stereo recording.
And Mike always like, you know, spit signs those motherfuckers up, and man, they're just so good. They're so good. So I would go to Mike. I don't know what the cost would be. I'm looking to like do a pledge music for like $2,000 basically, which is nothing.
To release,
just to honor the memory of that band and those people, and get out the would-be Black Season record. And I would just call it like the Black Season rehearsals. We have some pre-produced AC stuff and we have some post-produced AC stuff, but the whole thing is there. The whole thing is there. And back to Dom Smith real quick. He was here in town maybe like 8 years ago or 9 years ago when we were working on that. He came to a rehearsal. He's the only person on the planet that heard that whole thing from front to back because we played it for him. Because I was like, man, I got this guy coming from the UK who's like His Mighty Robot aficionado. And we got him into and we played him the whole record, and it was really, really cool. But anyway, that's another crazy story and another 10-hour podcast in the future. But I want to finish up with Kevin here. You know, I want to.
Thanks for sharing that, though. I mean,
that was a cool story. Sad.
Very,
it is,
very dramatic.
It's crazy, and there's even more crazy than that. But you know, I might not have like $1 zillion from these songs, but I've got a zillion crazy stories. You know, it's worth more than anything.
I've been fortunate and the opposite of fortunate to have lost very few people in my life. Mm-hmm. I think that when I say not fortunate is because when you do lose somebody, you it changes you. I want to say it helps you grow. It helps you understand life better. It helps you
keep going because it does all those things. Keep going. It does all of those things.
That's my point. There's these lessons that are involved that you can't get anywhere else other than losing somebody you love. Losing somebody you know. And what I'm trying to get at is that I have yet to really be a part of that group of people.
Consider yourself lucky.
Well, that's
right.
the point. It's like I feel like I'm lucky in the sense that I've only lost one or two very close family members and 0 friends to death. But I also when I hear stories like that, I go, that must have changed you as a person. And
it has absolutely. And you know what I hate? When you know me on like a 3-dimensional level at this point. You know what I mean? We've shared a lot of stories. We've played
4.
music together.
I'd say 4.
Okay, the 4th dimension, the real kooky one. When people who meet me and know me like on a 1-dimensional level, and now at this point in my life where I am, and say to people or say to me like, "Oh, you're so dark, you're so negative," I am not fucking negative. I just have fucking lived life,
right?
And I carry the weight of all of this stuff.
I just think you're way too young to have been to so many funerals. And I look at you, and I was saying what I was saying before, and you kind of gave me this look like you're lucky. I can only assume that you've been to way too many funerals yourself.
I can honestly say that so many people in my life have died. I'm fucking immune to. I actually literally feel nothing anymore. Like it does not.
That's crazy,
me.
and that's gotta come out in your music. That's one way or the other.
People always say that. What did you just say? You called him. What did you call him? Negative, and a lot of people say that I'm negative, and I'm not negative. I'm realistic.
Sure,
you know,
but that's actually a synonym in a lot
in
a lot of cases. It's almost like you're saying the same thing.
And people don't like reality, especially nowadays. They want to fucking watch reality TV, but when you come correct,
right.
I'm like, no. That is not right.
You guys are summing up like 90% of the fights that I have with my wife. Every time somebody says the truth, which is hurtful, it's a negative connotation. So it's like,
day and age.
My point is, what you were saying is, a lot of times today, just being truthful is being negative.
Right, and it is. I had a
and
that's just a load of horse shit.
And those two words should never be the same. They should never be connected.
I was engaged. And I was engaged to a Brooklyn hipster. Even though I'm a conservative, I just love the liberal chicks. I do. And the Brooklyn hipster girls that are transplants from other parts of the country, very attracted to that. And they were always like, "You're so negative." I'm like, "No, you live in this fucking happy, fake Neverland." And and actually, when you meet those people and you get to know them long enough, it's a fucking act.
It's an act because they're the ones that way down deep inside are more fucked up than we are.
That's right, exactly. It's always turned out, especially with the girls, it's a fucking act. You're not this love everybody, peace and love, hippie bullshit, because it always comes out. It always comes out. And I'm not negative. I'm just, I'm a happy guy because I accept the truth and I just say it like it is. And that makes me free. Imagine how it must be to pretend that you love everything all the. First off, there's a philosopher or some kind of scientist a long time ago. I read a quote. He says, we only have the capacity for a certain amount of love. So when somebody says, "I love everybody," you're full of shit. It's physically impossible to love somebody you don't even fucking know. You know what I mean? And these hippy dippy people like, "I love you, I love all this." No, you don't, you can't. It's impossible. Stop being fake. It's draining you. That's why you look 10 years older than you are. You know what I mean? Because you're living a fake life. And I'm like Soda. I mean, I'm not negative. I'm realistic, man.
I will tell you that when I was younger, I was definitely more negative and more antisocial. But then because of music and because of art and because of all this stuff that I love to do, it has made me a better person. All of these things, all of these crazy stories or whatever, it's like just a page in the book, man. And I have survived so much shit. And I don't, that's just reality, and...
Well, I got to ask now. What's the future of Stereo Assassin, and what's the future of Kevin Caputo? And is it a parallel future, or are those two futures destined to go their own separate ways?
No, it's not and never going to end. I've never had the thought. I thought of maybe doing some kind of like side project under a anonymous name, but Stereo Assassin's me, and I can't break up with myself. A band can break up, but I can't break up with myself, and I have no desire to stop. I have a beautiful studio in my house. I can wake up and, write, and there's what's to stop me. It's my passion. It's what I do. I find it funny that women are attracted to that. Musicians, it's truth. Women like musicians. And, I explain to them, my music comes first. "Oh, no, I love that about you." And then 6 months later, "You're always doing your fucking music. You never spend time with me." Yeah. So Stereo Assassin, the future of Stereo Assassin is, I'll paraphrase a quote from Phil Anselmo after Volga came out. He goes, Pantera's future is to make each album heavier and heavier than the next one.
I remember reading that for sure.
And I kind of
and they pretty much kind of did that. I mean, right? Because Far Beyond Driven came out after Vulgar Display.
I thought
that was just
Far Beyond
insane.
was a better album. People think I'm nuts.
Well, that was a #1 record.
Yeah,
and that was like the first metal record or something like that did that.
Yeah,
which was
exactly.
So sick.
It was
so
huge.
Cool.
I remember the anticipation waiting for that to come out. So that's Stereo Assassin is going to go on. It's going to go on. It's going to go heavy. Maybe not always heavy, but I get to do what I want because it's just me. But I do have a band that I'll be playing live with, and that'll be happening. Specifically, what I have going on is I signed a record deal with Cataclysm Records. It's Tim McCurdy from the old, very politically incorrect band M.O.D. And, they really, that song, AIDS, Anally Inflicted Death Sentence, and Aren't You Hungry, and USA for Africa. I mean, very...
USA for Africa?
You don't want to hear the lyrics, but they're very famous albums, very famous band back in the 80s, and everybody knows them if you're older. And Tim is the vice president, and it's a new label they started, signed a couple of other cats besides me, and this is funny, Eminem's original lawyer that got him signed originally with Dre or something, this guy Randy, he's the president, and he's a trip, and so these guys signed me, and I'm releasing an album called Antichrist. It's hardcore, but not the hardcore on Long Island. We know hardcore EDM, really hard like Hallucinator and Anger Fist and stuff like that. Really hard electronic dance music, but don't let that name fool you. It's fucking brutal. And then after that, we're doing an album called Inhuman Aggression, which will be with a full band, metalcore band. And
speaking of records, though, I was going to say Stereo Assassin really only has one proper record, right?
There's two full lengths.
Breakbeats, Beatdowns, and Breakups, which was like 2010, I think.
2010.
There's another one after that?
Full length, yeah.
Okay, because I thought it was that,
Actually,
and then you started to get into just like singles and videos and stuff like that.
No, there's two. There's The Breaks I Make, which is kind of a tribute to old school New York hip hop.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. If you like old school break beats and stuff like that, and hip hop, it's phenomenal album. I love it. And then there's a full drum and bass album called Alpha Male.
Okay.
And just hard, dark, heavy drum and bass.
Oh, I just wanted to ask, clearly Stereo Assassin is a never-ending project. Possibilities of potential side projects?
Yeah, I'm thinking of doing this thing called Death Step. Death Step is kind of like extremely heavy dubstep with elements of metal in it.
Okay.
It's called Death Step. It's a subgenre. And I'm thinking of calling it Coffin Scratcher.
It's cool name too.
He definitely has like the catchiest.
I woke up.
Encyclopedia of cool band
No,
names.
I just woke up and the name popped into my head for some reason. I'm like, yeah, I got to either make that an album, a song, or a band.
Yeah. The best I can come up was like broken bathroom stall door.
Oh dear. This is why.
Nowadays it'll go. It'll fly.
But so what's the best place to find out about Stereo Assassin?
Yes. How do people
tell us where we can
get in touch
find
with
you and hear you and experience the madness that is Stereo Assassin? Where are we going?
Well, I would say iTunes, but absolutely nobody downloads anymore.
Doesn't matter.
You can get it anywhere. Deezer, Spotify, Google Play. I prefer people follow me and listen on Spotify. You don't really get paid. You get paid a third of a penny a song or something like that.
It's a third of a penny.
Yeah, right. So Spotify, all the big ones, Apple Music, iTunes, Spotify, YouTube. Actually, you do get money paid on YouTube. I get paid for that. Anywhere, CD Baby, anywhere.
Yeah,
it's
just
all straight up
Stereo Assassin into your search engine.
Oh yeah, put in Stereo Assassin. You go to my
It'll take you
website,
somewhere.
www.stereoassassin.com. Has everything you need to know there. So
Now, how'd you come up with the name Stereo Assassin?
just like everything else, it
Just kinda came to
popped
you?
into my head like coffin scratch. And I remember it came into my head, and I said, "Nah, that's too good. Somebody's got to have it." and I researched it, and there was a band called the Stereo Assassins. So me, being the devious fucking New Yorker that I am, I wrote to them pretending I was a lawyer, saying that I represent Stereo Assassin, and we copyrighted that name 3 years ago. Cease and desist.
What'd they do? Would they respond?
They never responded, but I've never seen any activity on their Facebook page. So I think they've already done it.
I think when Soda, myself, and Fox started a band, we started trying to. It took us like
A while.
3 months to come up with
At least
3 to
at the
6
very
months to
least.
come up with a name.
I'd say closer
because
to 6.
somebody would like pitch a name and we do Google searches and that's how, and it would always be taken, And then,
I'm just fortunate enough to be just enough fucking demented to have these things pop into my head.
we almost became like a fucking we almost became like U37 or some shit, like some random.
There was a
U3.
letter and a number. But my favorite was trisexual.
Yeah, that was
Monkey
a great one.
Googled trisexual, and there was like
A
trio
It was a tranny
of like
it was a bunch of trannies.
drag queens in Mexico that were called
yeah.
trisexual. That were just like
Trisexual.
the baddest bitches in town. I was like, I am so happy that we found that out. Not because they have the name, but because they are fierce bitches. It was.
That's
I was
a really
like,
cool name, actually.
that is the
Trisexual,
best
yeah,
name,
the
right?
best name.
And then we Google it, and man, these bitches are
I came
tearing
up
it up
with,
in like Mexico or something. I
had to start looking up at like
They were so
words in
cool.
other languages, and that's where I come up with Nox, because Nox was like Latin for black or some shit, and then night for night, yeah, Nox,
And then
was,
cult we
and then
tacked on.
somebody just threw on cult in there, so we became
Night
Nox
Cult. There you have it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ludini told me about that.
Yeah. It was a great name. People
It was a
fucking
great
caught
fucking
on.
name, and what was important about that band was we were literally trying to make our shows like cult gatherings.
Yeah, it was a very, very like mysterious setting. Lots of dark aspects. The
We did
drummer
it
wore a
right.
mask.
We did it right.
It was
We did it right.
I did the mask thing from the beginning, so there was always this anonymity. You didn't know who the drummer was at all.
Yeah, I like the idea of masking.
Yeah, it's a good idea until you start
imagery.
blacking out because you can't breathe.
Well, I know.
So all right. So I do want to play one more song.
Hold on a second before we go. I just want to exercise my right to free speech here. It's been a long time since I've seen Kevin. It's a weird feeling because I've been advocating, like Soda said, I've been advocating trying to get him on the show. Soda is he's the brains. He's the encyclopedia. He's the book of knowledge when it comes to especially local music, but when it comes to music in general, I'm kind of like the dumb talent aspect here. I have the knowledge.
You're the stunt cock.
That's another band name right there. Holy shit.
Stunt cock.
Stunt cock.
That's a cool name.
That's a great name, dude. How do you spell cock, though, to make it fucking parent-friendly? Thank you for ruining my train of thought.
I'm sorry.
Nah, I love you, man. Look, I can connect cables, I can put mics together, and I can design beautiful studios. If you ever get a chance to come in, and Kevin's going to agree, it's a very relaxed setting.
Yeah, it's nice back here.
It's very, you might have some allergies, some asbestos or some shit in your eyes right now.
No, I've been having some issues with my eyes the past
No,
couple
it's just
of days.
It's just allergies. We're entering springtime, my friend.
My eyes are killing
All
me.
right,
But
good.
it's nice ambiance. There's candles. And
Well, in the
you can
corner over there,
salsa.
what you don't see is a whole bar with some whiskey and some vodka and some.
Yeah, and the guy's wearing like really nice black negligee just to relax me. Soda, you have a great ass.
I'm a chapless,
Well, thanks.
chapless ass, chapless.
It's small. I'm mostly all legs, Kevin.
Yeah. I prefer the crotchless panty. I just wanted to kind of.
So that's the outfit for stunt cock, though. Those are the stage outfits.
Stunt cock,
Oh my
crotchless
God.
panties,
Oh shit.
cock
we
and
go.
balls in your
Guys are
face.
too much.
I want to express how happy I am to actually have Kevin in here with us because I don't want to let him go. I want to hang out with the guy all night. I know that he can't, but I definitely want this to be day one into the future of our friendship because we hit it off almost right away.
Yeah, we did.
Even at work, I always found it to be.
People take me to be like this.
Hold on a second. You don't really know Kevin until I tell you the story. We had a colleague who worked in accessories. Can't remember his name. Skinny guy. I think his name was Chris.
Oh yeah.
Don't say a goddamn
Nervous
thing. This is
fucking
my
guy.
fucking story. Kevin comes up to me one day. He's like, "Yo, you got to know something about Chris. He's a fucking schizophrenic." I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Dude, he's on medication, but he fucking hears voices." I'm like, "All right, I guess, whatever." I'd never heard those words ever uttered out loud in public to me ever. He's like, "You want to fuck with him?" I'm like, "No, I don't want to fuck with him." Next thing you know, and this went on for fucking months. Kevin, when it was slow, when we were close to closing time, Kevin would go on the fucking PA system in the fucking store, and he would fuck with fucking Chris, a schizophrenic. He'd be like, Chris.
I think I put him in the hospital for a little bit.
Oh my God, did you fuck him so hard? I was standing next to him one night when he started doing that shit, and he clearly did the look where oh my God, I'm hearing voices. I do not want anybody to realize that I'm hearing voices. I'm hearing voices. I do not want anybody to realize I'm hearing. And he's looking to the side like this. He's looking to the side. He's looking to the side. I put my arm on his shoulder. I'm like, "You okay, man?" He's like, "No, I'm not okay." I'm like, "Dude, relax. You'll be fine, all right? Kevin's fucking with you." He's like, "How do you know?" I don't. I'm just saying. I don't know. But someone's clearly fucking with you. And, dude, from that day on, I just, realized this guy is the real deal. He fucks with schizophrenics for fun. He's going to start a band called fucking Stereo Assassin, and he's going to change the world. Thank you so much for being a part of my life, my friend. And,
You're a good guy. You're a good guy, Ronnie.
No, and I hope to impress you even more because I wasn't lying when I said if you were interested in any side projects because I have a feeling that you need to discover gold again. And
You give me a call. You got any ideas? I don't have it in me to put anything together, so this time...
I'm not going to give you a call. I'm going to fucking drug you like B.A. Baracus. And I'm
All right, then you do that.
throw you in the studio. And
Don't count on me to call you for anything, but I would absolutely... Because I'm just too spent.
No, it's going to happen.
But if you reach out to me, I will be there.
We'll figure something out. We'll figure something out. And Soda, by the way, you're in front of him on that list.
Well, I'm going to give Kevin a lot of music, and he can hear the many sounds.
We're going to go out. We're going to go out.
Very good bassist, by the way.
That's my point, okay? And people don't understand. You've got one of the best singer guitar players on Long Island. One of the best drummers on
I'll
Long
agree
Island.
with that.
And
Absolutely.
you've got some of the sickest bass skills you've ever seen.
I could play.
And all of those three
That's cool.
aspects are sitting at this fucking table right now. It would be a
Stunt Cock was born.
Stunt cock. It would be a shame.
That is a great name.
If
Actually, the more I hear it, I'm like, yeah, you're right, Ronnie.
It would be a shame if we didn't come up with a single because that's what it's all about. Singles.
Count me in.
All right. We got a song.
And Jay, we don't even have to see each other. You just email it to me, and I'll send it back to you with the bass.
No, I need to study your tats, so it's got to be in person.
So, speaking of singles, though, what's the latest Stereo Assassin single? Did we get to that in the beginning, 10 days ago in this interview?
Yeah. Destroyer.
So, let's go out on that, and it's going to destroy you. But, Kevin, thank you for coming. Thank you for being
Thank
so
you for having me,
candid.
Soda.
So candid about who you are. You know, guys, I mean, everybody has opinions. Just because you don't agree with somebody doesn't mean that they're a bad person. And Whether you love him or you hate him, Kevin's doing his thing, man. You can't fault the guy for that. So
you actually, in general, might learn you might learn something by watching somebody speak about things that you do not necessarily agree with. That's life.
Yeah.
Being wrong is actually, it's supposed to be a revelation, not.
A lot of these guys want to attack me, and I realized a long time ago, success breeds contempt and jealousy.
Fuck yes. Of course.
And I find it really funny. It's always people saying that I have fake likes and my music sucks. There's always guys or artists with much less fans than I have on Facebook.
Yeah.
And I always find it fascinating. Instead of attacking me, why don't you just be like, hey, dude, how did you do this or how did you do that? And I'd be more than glad to. I'd love to see anybody succeed.
Sure, yeah.
And people do ask me, and I'm helpful as I can be, but they choose to attack.
And you know what's going to be more interesting? If somebody who decides that they really want to express some opposite views, I have no problem in inviting Kevin back here with said person and having a little discussion face to face. Because, if you're not cool enough, if you don't have the balls to fucking have a discussion face to face, then please hold your opinions to yourself.
I've given my address to many of these people.
That's a terrible idea. That's such a bad idea.
I've been doing it for years.
Oh my God.
I don't have to worry about these soy boys. Trust me.
I like that soy boys because he's got a huge definition on his website. So go to facebook.com and you'll see soy boy defined.
And I have no fear that none of them have ever come into my house, and they won't. He's got
a natural podcast talent, Kevin. I mean, he's got a good voice. We got to get him back on here, maybe with some opposing views, and have a little debate. See what happens. Friendly.
I can keep it friendly, and I can keep it civil. Can they?
On that note,
Destroyer.
Hit it. New York Death Step Stereo Assassin.
There you go. Thanks, guys. See ya.
Peace.
It's the fucking beginning, motherfuckers. Hold it in the back of your brain, simple and plain. Hold it in the back of your brain, simple and plain. Hold it in the back of your brain, simple and plain. Hold it in the back of your brain, simple and plain.